Welcome to another episode of Seattle House Mafia's Industry Interviews. I'm Phil, your host. Today's guest is a Seattle-based DJ and up-and-coming producer. She is a regular at some of Seattle's most iconic venues like Q, Monkey Loft, Showbox Market, and WAMU Theater, and has played a number of Insomniac festivals, including Boo, Day Trip, and Everything Always at the Gorge. She has shared the stage with artists like Dom Dolla, James Hype, Amtrak, John Summit, Hannah Wants, Shermanology, HoneyLuv, Paul Oakenfold, and many others. It's so crazy. Please welcome Sloane Cosens, a.k.a. Sloane Motion. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you made it.
Yeah, me too. Monday fun day.
Yeah. Monday's tough for you?
Yeah, they're slower for sure.
Yeah.
Normally horizontal recovering for most of the day.
From playing 2 nights in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah.
You're busy. Yeah, when I was looking at I want to jump in, but I think let's talk about this for a second, because I think we've met before briefly. It was at Chop Suey. It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Do you remember talking to me?
Was it at Flammable?
It was at Flammable.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was your first time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had never met you before, and I think Sangno introduced us, and we talked for like 2 minutes. I'm sure I was boring.
Flammable is the best.
It is the best.
That's the ultimate Sunday fun day.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just don't want to blow past how many different gigantic acts that you've played with. Because just for kicks, I went on the DJ Mag DJ 100 list for 2024, and I kept going, oh yeah, she's played with them. She's played with, there's a bunch of them, right? So I don't know if there's anybody else in Seattle right now. I can't think of who has that sort of level of experience with these bigger artists. What is that like? I think everybody would want to know what that's like. Like, how does that happen? What is it like?
Well, I think it's what excites me the most, because that's what got me into DJing. Is just I'm obsessed with going to see whatever artists I'm passionate about at that time, seeing them live, even if I have to go alone or whatever. I just love it. And so now on the DJ side of things, to be able to do both, to be able to experience the show but also be a part of it is motivating for me, and so sometimes I'll reach out because I'm like, what do I have to lose? I feel like you have to maybe be a little bit annoying sometimes, just a little bit, but I don't know, there's been some synchronicities too where they just reach out to me asking if I want to open for somebody that happens to be my favorite artist, because maybe I play similar styles of music because they're the ones that inspire me to play, and so maybe my sound is similar to theirs, and so they just happen to come to Seattle, and I guess it just works out.
You're on the short list. So who was the first one that really cracked that seal for you, the first big artist?
Probably Dom Dolla the first time I opened for him 2 years ago at Showbox, because he's been one of my favorite DJs for 10 years. Back before he even really produced, he would post YouTube mixes, and I just remember coming across them and being like, we have the exact same taste. 90% of his songs weren't his, and I was like, oh, I love all these tracks right now too. And so I just really connected with his style and taste, not even just what he was producing. And so I always followed him and would drag my friends to go to his shows when there was nobody there. Yeah, so I got asked to open for him actually randomly when I was in Ibiza, and I was going to see him by myself play that night. And my friends all left. I'm like, I'm going to stay next today. And then Showbox messaged me. I don't know how they got my info, honestly. They just...
So Showbox in Seattle messaged you when you were in Ibiza.
Yeah.
Going to a Dom Dolla show.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. And I was literally like, what? And my jaw dropped, and I was like, that is crazy. I'm actually going to see him right now. And so I messaged him, and long shot, I did not expect a response.
You messaged Dom Dolla then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, I just got asked to open for you in 2 weeks, and I'm coming to see you play tonight by myself. Would love to say hi, but, no worries if not. And he was so nice and was like, no way, that's crazy, mate. come hang out. And I'm like, okay. So I show up, and yeah, he was super down to earth, super nice. And so that was awesome, like opening for him at Showbox, my first time playing there. And I've grown up going to Showbox forever. So that was probably the first big milestone that I was proud of. And then, yeah, 2 years later, I opened for him again, which was also another milestone. So.
Was that the New Year's?
That one was at the Gorge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
With John Summit, too.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
I don't know. I just feel like I've had this weird thing with Dom Dolla for the last, 10 years where...
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this off camera, how some people maybe... you had a very good perspective that fame can sort of magnify whatever traits you represent personality-wise, good or bad, right? And he always... the only experience I have with him is, seeing him on social media, right? But he seems like a fun guy and a DJ.
And just down to earth and, So I respect artists that are still chill and personable.
I just love that you reach out to... Because my assumption would be, in a scenario like with somebody like Dom Dolla on the top 100 list, like he would have people... They would reach out to people who would reach out to you, but you guys were like texting, and you went and hung out with him. And
well, I had briefly met him like a couple times. One time in an alleyway outside of Sound in LA, and I don't know. He was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember you." And then we met at Q, but like not enough to actually, And then after Ibiza or after I opened for him in Seattle, we never talked again. So I'm not sure if that's why I played at the Gorge or if it was just another coincidence, but yeah, I didn't even see them there actually. I saw there was a buffet and I was just hanging there and wanted to be with my friends in the crowd. So everybody's like, "Oh, did you meet the artist?" I'm like, "No, I just wanted to experience it." I just hung out with my friends. So yeah.
Yeah, but then you've like also for instance, I mean, everybody knows James Hype. You actually played before James Hype, right? You wanted support for James.
Yeah.
That guy's a monster,
that was crazy
isn't he?
Too.
Right?
I was like, yikes, my technical skills have a long way to go.
Well, he's kind of one of a kind. I mean, he's a beast, right?
Yeah, he's insane. So that was awesome. I've never seen the club so packed here as it was for that, but it was very sweaty, but it was super fun.
So when you're, and then Paul Oakenfold, who is that's a wild.
Yeah, that was so random. Yeah. I like reached out to Aura about a different show, and they were like, "Oh, that one's booked already. Sorry, but are you free in like 2 or 3 days you can play Paul Oakenfold?" I'm like, "What?" Like that was the last thing I was expecting. And I tried to play like old school kind of progressive, like to make sure that it was his style. And then it was kind of interesting because he had a opener that tours with him who did not play like that style at all. And he was playing like quick transitions like Fisher and like tech house, and I felt like I was almost on like a cruise club party or something. Like I was like so shocked. So it's funny how sometimes you can predict a certain vibe and then you can be wrong. Like you know what I mean? So,
and then how did Paul play? Did he play more like what you played?
He played kind of in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
so
he
it's probably
played
a good balance.
Yeah. I just did not expect, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know what to expect, and you can plan everything. You can go over the top, and then it's just completely different. So. Well,
that's what I was going to ask. Like for these big names that you've played with, are you given like some guidance, or do they give you guardrails sometimes, or is it just like, "Hey, Sloane, you're booked, and here's your time slot, and go"? Or is it?
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, I've never been told any specifics before, except one time at the Crocodile. I opened for like NOTD, and I think they're a bit more popish, mainstream, and they sent me a list of, "Hey, don't play these songs." Like,
interesting.
And it was like Katy Perry Firework like remix. I'm like,
I'm good.
"Oh, don't worry, won't be playing those." But that was the only time that I've had like an actual sheet of like, this is what you can't play. Or every other time they just don't say anything and they just completely leave it up to me. So it's kind of nice to have that freedom. I don't know if it's always been like that. But
yeah, I would have assumed, depending on the artist, and I've heard stories too. Like we've had guests come on that opened for some big artists, and they were just like, don't play bangers, and just like it probably depends on the management, and also depends on how sensitive the artist is. But it sounds like the ones you've worked with are pretty like whatever.
Pretty chill. I've heard that too. Like someone I know opened for an Anjuna deep artist, and they were super strict. They're like, you have to play below 123 BPM, and they're like, okay, so a set of like lullaby music, like
and,
yeah, I've never had that before, but
interesting. Yeah, that's so
annoying.
cool.
Sometimes it helps to have a bit of guidance, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to reach out and be like, hey, what are you planning to open or close with, or what speed, because it kind of helps to not have the Paul Oakenfold thing where you're like off when you think you're on, you know.
Right.
So I'd rather just check in.
Yeah, no, I think you checked, which was cool. Like I was going to tell you, I appreciate you asking us, like, what, you know, and I'm just like, you play whatever the fuck you want. You know what you're doing. But it is interesting because, I would have always assumed that there was just a lot more stringent, and who knows, maybe there is with, you know, maybe when you get in the top 2 or 3, they're like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I feel like tech house is pretty much self-explanatory, you know, but like with the more chill artists, I think they're stricter because they don't want something to take over the energy,
steal the energy
too much
early,
right before,
yeah,
because that can just really, I don't know, affect the headliner. But with tech house, it's kind of all the same.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah,
So, and you don't have to give specifics, but when because you play club gigs, you play private parties, you've done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Between like festivals and like club gigs, like the compensation, is it vastly different for you? And again, don't have to be specific.
It's I think it definitely pays more for the festival stuff now. Like for only playing an hour, you get paid more than for what you would do for a 5-hour set at like a club.
Right.
So just for 1 hour, it's like already more than that. So, but it's not like I have been playing long enough and producing enough where I really want to negotiate too much because I'm in that stage where I'm like also just kind of happy and lucky to be here. So I don't want to like push it too hard. But I think in time, when you produce your own music more and you make more of an artist name for yourself, then I think you have more leeway to like negotiate higher.
For sure.
Yeah, but I don't have a manager.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's kind of awkward because I'm like, just this is me. Like we're going back and forth here. You know, it's easier when there's somebody else doing that stuff for you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to Tony H about like when you get a manager, and he like put out a social media post asking, like he didn't even, you know,
right.
Everybody's got their own journey. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll get off the festival thing in a second, but I mean, out of all, you know, because I know you've played at like Versace Mansion, and you played at like all these like. Do you have a favorite?
Well, that one was funny because that was like for a crypto kind of like corporate
crypto
event.
Party.
Yeah, so financially that was maybe one of the best. Like I didn't really know. My friends were like, "Is this a scam? This sound like, do you need a security guard to go with you?" I'm like, I don't know. Like this might not be real. I have no clue. But I gave my price offer, which I already thought was high, you know, but it's corporate, so.
Right.
And then they're like, no, we actually want to double that. Oh. And that's when I started being like, is this, like, why would they offer to do that? I don't know. But it turned out to be legit, and it was real, and I didn't need a security guard.
Was that in Miami? Where's the first?
Yeah,
okay,
it was in Miami, yeah.
Miami's a crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. They had, like, synchronized swimmers and, like, an electric violinist, and like it really felt like a weird dream or something.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it sounds like a dream, but it also sounds like a fever dream. Like it could be really, really strange.
Yeah, it was honestly just like awesome. Yeah. It was pretty epic, but I think I had too much fun, and I took my shoes off so I could like shuffle dance while I was DJing, and I didn't realize that I was like getting blisters on the bottom of my feet, and then I could like barely walk home, and then I got a toothache on the plane. And I felt like a cripple. Like I called my mom, like, oh my gosh, like I was like almost crying, like the highs and the lows. Like I feel like I aged like 10 years from that 3 days in Miami, so I haven't gone back since. but it was awesome.
I was watching this video. It was this I forget who the club owner was in Ibiza. Just today he was actually talking about, they asked him what was the largest or the biggest sum he ever paid for a DJ set, and he said, I paid David Guetta $250,000 for 2 hours.
God.
But he's like, we made like $1.5 million. Like,
I need to up my rate.
Right, totally.
Add a couple of zeros.
Totally, but I was just like, what?
That is crazy.
And what, he play like 2-3 hours maybe,
yeah.
Right? Like,
I think Steve Aoki is like pretty strict with that too. I've heard in Vegas, he's like, well, based on how many people you're bringing into the club and the total, then like that is what I should be. I don't know. And then the bottle service and all of that, it's insane, especially in Vegas.
yeah.
But then if you piss off 20 people from throwing a cake in their face, like I feel like there might be, I don't know, some karma coming from that. I'm like, okay, 1 cake, I get it, but 20, a little much.
I mean, yeah. Is that like for you? Like, and the other thing the club owner said, he's like, look, these guys, it sounds like their life's easy, but they're on planes, in airports, flights delayed, different bed every night. Like, it's not like
true.
Probably as fun. Like,
right.
As an old guy, I like to be in my own bed with my dogs and my wife, and like I wonder, like, I'd like the opportunity for like a summer maybe. But,
yeah.
You know.
Well, Dom Dolla said, like, when they asked him for advice on any artist that maybe wants to tour, what advice he would give. And he said, make sure you know how to fall asleep sitting up. Because out of all the plane rides that you're going to take, if you can't fall asleep on an airplane, then you're going to be screwed. And that actually was a really good point.
Yeah.
Because that is kind of the reality of, like, the grind part of that job is sleeping on a plane. Because
you're like city to city to city.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like weirdly I could maybe handle it because people kind of joke. They're like, how are you surviving off of like no sleep, or like, I don't know, I'm kind of go and like my schedule, like I'm just kind of crazy like that, and I somehow still can manage it. So I'm like, maybe I'm in training for something like that.
I mean, would that be the we could get to it a little bit later, but would that be like the dream for you, at least, going on tour with a big artist with the goal of at some point being the big artist,
Right. Yeah, like I think thinking of like being a headliner like that is like a little far-fetched for me, I'm like, I haven't even really produced enough of my own songs or anything. But I do think that a great way to experience it without that pressure would be to, like, because I love opening for artists, and I think that's kind of like what I vibe with, at least right now, the most. So I would love to, like, go around with an artist that already has done it, that already knows what they're doing, and then I just get to kind of go along for the ride, which I think sounds great. To be kind of like that opener for someone. Yeah, I don't really know how or when or where that could happen, but that would be kind of ideal, yeah. I
feel like out of anybody I've talked to doing this, you're probably the closest, just with the exposure you've had already. So it will be interesting to see where your whole, your 2024 was ridiculous, right? So it will be interesting to see where the whole thing goes for you. Plus you're doing stuff locally too, which is great, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff locally. I think one of my goals is to start playing in other cities, which I've been doing a little bit. Like Portland a few weeks ago was really cool. They have a new venue, and I was just in San Diego and trying to make some like connections maybe to start playing down there. So I kind of want to just start doing that, but the goal would, I've always loved also just traveling in general and traveling the world. So again, I'm like, why not try and kill two birds with one stone? But I think the thing that seems daunting to me is like learning Ableton, like mastering it on my own.
Right.
Because I still run into some roadblocks, like starting and finishing a track, and I get frustrated and then I want to give up. But if I have somebody with me to like help me through those things, then it's like I have these ideas, but it's hard to like get them out because I'm not a master at the software part yet. So that's the only thing where I don't know like how big that gap is of when I can get to that point. But That's what I'm going to try and do this year.
Yeah. Okay. So big focus for you on production this year.
I think that's what I need to do if I want to like get out of the like local DJ kind of phase, which is fine and I'm loving it and I'm enjoying it. But in order to do that, I think that's what I need to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back a little bit because I'm real curious, because I'm real curious how this all started for you. We were talking off camera about how, you grew up listening to C89, just like I grew up listening to C89. And we have a pretty significant age difference, but C89 was hugely influential for me and so many fucking people in Seattle.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've always loved electronic music. Like, I don't know why, maybe because I did dance or something. I could just like connect with it more, but how I started, is that what you want to know?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
I get excited.
Yeah. So, well, I've always loved the music and did dance, so always listening to it. I never really watched TV much. Like, I was always finding new music in my free time.
Like doing like modern dance, like doing what kind of dance?
Well, I'm not very flexible, so I ended up focusing on like tap dance and hip hop.
Okay.
And then shuffle dance once that became a thing later. But I would always like be the person that would make CDs for my friends and playlists for my friends. And so that was kind of my, like, I don't know, my passion, I guess, for as long as I can remember. And then I went to school in LA and I made this like YouTube music channel when people would do that back in the day. Like people would find music on YouTube, and so I'd like post new songs on there, and then I saw some of the channels were doing mixes. So I'm like, okay, I want to start doing mixes, but I didn't have a DJ controller. So I had the Tractor software. And so I would pretend like I'm making a CD, put the songs in the order, and then put the cue points, and then I'd press record live and use my mouse to like transition. Yep. So I made mixes that way for literally like maybe over a year or two. I don't know. And then I moved back to Seattle, and people were like, why don't you start posting mixes as yourself instead of this YouTube channel? So then I started making my own page and posting them on SoundCloud. And then my friends heard my mixes on SoundCloud, and then COVID happened, and they're like, oh, we're playing at... And I got a controller like right before that, so I had a bit of practice.
Gotcha.
And then my friend was playing at Gasworks and was like, do you want to play? We heard one of your mixes. So then I kind of was nervous because I had never played in front of people before. But it was the perfect way to start because it was just like your friends or like 20 people. So it was pretty low pressure. So then I got a lot of practice doing it that way.
So you guys were doing like COVID renegades.
Yeah. I mean, it started pretty chill, like at Gasworks, just people on the hill. And then they started getting more creative. There are some other groups that would try to do the same thing, but I feel like they didn't give it the best rep because they were not being as respectful of places. So we had to keep finding new locations. But the group that did it, I was lucky to be a part of because they were really professional with their lighting and their marketing, and I kind of just got to show up with my USB. Nice. So, it was kind of the right place at the right time, I guess, with that.
So you grew up here and you were in school in LA. Were you just doing like a normal academic degree, or were you going for like dance stuff in LA?
No, well, I did dance team for fun, but I had a business degree. So
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I did sales. My dad's like a business guy. Wanted me to do kind of the same route, medical device sales, what he did, and so I did the sales route, and but then during COVID, everybody kind of stopped their job.
Meeting face to face.
Yeah,
totally.
And so then I gave the DJ thing a try, and then started getting booked at like clubs and bars when they reopened consistently, like so right off the bat. So I never went back to the sales thing.
So DJing right now is your job.
Yeah, well, actually, during COVID, I started nannying this girl who's also an only child like me. She's like a weird mini-me. Like, we get along great. I love kids, so kind of was this special bond we had. And so I do that here and there. It's pretty flexible during the week, and then have time to, like, still do the music stuff as well. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, because I was kind of scared if I went back into the corporate sales route that would maybe take over more of my time. You know?
I mean, what's jumping out to me, because I had no idea your story, is that you're pretty aggressive and pretty resourceful, but you're aggressive not in like an aggressive way, but in like a thoughtful.
Kind of annoying. Yeah.
You're slightly annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but you're resourceful, and and I think a lot of people had to be resourceful during COVID, because I mean, I've been in outside sales for, I don't even want to say how long, but I couldn't meet with customers anymore, so we're doing everything over freaking Zoom, and it's different.
Yeah.
I'm maybe wearing a button up on top and like my underwear on, or
exactly,
sweats or whatever. It was such a weird,
Yeah, and I think I kind of wanted to show my parents like that I would be fine, like just give it a chance. Yeah. Like,
were they skeptical?
Well, my dad's,
he's a business
guy, so he's like thought of the artist stuff as more of like not a lucrative career long term, but then he kind of came around after, seeing everything happen, and now they're super supportive, and I'm very grateful for that. They come to my shows. They would come to like the clubs. They came to Day Trip.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Was Day Trip at the Gorge as well?
No, that was at Gasworks.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Okay. That's right.
So they were there, and like now they're super into it, and like
so they go to your shows.
They came to Q. I was like, I never in a million years thought my parents would be at Q right now. But yeah, it's been fun.
I feel like that is oftentimes the evolution of the parents when they just like they give up the ghost. They're just like, I guess I got an artist.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they can either like buck up against it or at some point embrace it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
so
it sounds
I think
like
that's what happened.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, my mom was kind of like, I think we should give it a chance. Like let her try,
Yeah.
And then he's like, now he's all in. Now I come to their house and they're blasting Rufus. Like they love like chill house music, and they're in it. So yeah.
Well, and you're fortunate in the fact that your parents are actually together, and and that's also really cool too.
Yeah,
so.
And they wanted to come to the Gorge, but they were out of town. But yeah, they like want to come to. My dad came on the HoneyLuv a few weeks ago, and that was cool. So he loves like meeting everybody, and yeah, it's been fun. Yeah. To have them be a part of the journey is nice.
You played on the HoneyLuv a few times, right?
Yeah, this one was for Roman Garcia. He's like an Injuna.
Got it.
Artist, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
and then did you do the Hannah Wants party too?
Yeah, that was so fun.
She's like I really like her because
She's a legend.
I mean, I don't know her, but like there's a few tracks that I love and then remixes of her tracks, and like I don't always go into that sort of vein, but she kind of comes over into my world a little bit. And I just dig the stuff.
She's great. She is one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was so nice too, and also very down to earth.
Oh, cool. She seems that way from the.
Yeah.
What is the line for you around management now? Or are you thinking about it? Have managers reached out to you?
Honestly, that's the one thing. Like, I have no clue, to be completely honest. I've asked some other people, like, how did you find yours? Because it seems kind of overwhelming. So many people have said, oh, I would love to be your manager. I would love to be your manager. And I'm like, well, have you had any experience? They're like, no.
Yeah, what does that look like?
Yeah, exactly.
You take
so
20%?
I think so many people just don't know, but they love the idea of it. And I want someone who actually has done it, who has been through it all. But somebody told me, actually, Kendall Music, she's from Seattle too, and she said, the right manager will find you. And so that kind of stuck with me, and I'm kind of just waiting for them to find me.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, so we'll see what happens with management. I have a feeling you're going to end up with somebody pretty soon, but like you said, you're not like
produce more first, I think.
More first.
And then I think
And I would imagine, do you also have like this sort of hit list of festivals for 2025 that you're looking at? Like what's Sloane's strategy on this stuff?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I applied for APOG. That's like a local one that I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
So I thought, I'm normally out of town that week, but I'm going to be here, so shout out to APOG.
That's right.
Love to play it, but yeah, I don't know. I think I just want to focus mainly on like producing more. And then from there, the festivals will just come after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I never asked or reached out to play at any of the ones I've played so far. So I'm just like, if it's the right fit, they'll ask me.
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And production-wise, do you feel like the stuff that you're into and that you're playing out right now would come, if you have your way, kind of mimic your production style and vice versa? Or
I don't know.
You're thinking about a different direction potentially?
I play both, like, tech house, minimal, like that style, the more intense vibe, and also the chill house kind of Anjuna-y vibe. I like both equally. So when I think of, like, having to pick a sound, I don't know. I think that will kind of figure itself out as well. Like, the more that you'll all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, well, these 8 songs that I produced are all this style, so I guess this is the style. But I don't think I can, like, predict where that's going until I'm there. If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody, I'm not gonna mention their name offline, and they said once you start, and I don't produce, right? And it's like a bus I missed long ago, and who knows? Maybe at some point.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Could be David Guetta. He could make
maybe
250K and do that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he said once you start producing music for somebody else, then it's you lost already, right? So
yeah.
And maybe that's where you're at. Like who knows what you'll know it when you hear it, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think it's fair to say, of course, you're gonna produce, like, with a sound and a venue and a vibe in mind, but just producing something to sound exactly like something else.
Yeah, I don't really have a sound in mind. I might produce some chill house songs, and I might produce more tech house songs, and then I don't know, eventually whatever I produce more of, I might just go that route, or maybe not choose. Like, I think a lot of DJs want to have a residency somewhere, they want to be a part of a group, and they want to have their sound even just as a DJ, and I've never been like that because I just, like, can't decide. And so I have never wanted to be in a box. I always want to play everywhere I can, play lots of different styles. And so when it comes to producing and picking one, I don't think I even really will. Like, I might be the type that plays, like, a chill daytime set and then also a nighttime set and have 2 completely different vibes. Because that's just, like, my personality.
Totally.
I don't know if I'd want to pick. So
no, well, and I know so you've done the big festival stuff, but then you've played, like, dope parties, like Lost Boys parties, and you played Flammable, and you, like, you know?
I kind of like it all. As long as it's, like, in the house range. I'm not an open format DJ. Honestly, I haven't even really tried that much. Like, I just stick to what I know and like. I'm a creature of habit, so I'll play any type of house, but that's pretty much it for me.
Open format's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
and I used to do it, and I didn't do it very good.
I don't know. I just stick to what I know, and I'm like, anything house goes. But Flammable, I was honestly kind of shocked and honored to.
How was that?
It was, not gonna lie, the oldest equipment I've ever played on. But I had a mini heart attack when I got up there. I'm like, oh yikes, I haven't played on this before. But it went well. I think everybody had fun, and they said they wanted to have me back. So.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been going to Flammable forever too. So.
Totally, right? Like, that's kind of the pinnacle. I think for the underground, that's kind of the pinnacle. I played there once in, like, 2001.
Oh, that's awesome.
When it was vinyl.
At Rebar?
Rebar.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fucking blast.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's
such
so cool.
a vibey crowd. Too.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Did you feel like the lamp was going to hit you in the head?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not that tall, but it gets close, right?
It does sometimes. Sometimes people really swing it.
You get excited about the red lamp.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. Yeah, the Flammable thing is cool. You were the headliner that night, right?
It was split, kind of. It was like
who else
me
was on
and
that?
then...
Because I missed that one. Sorry.
Hyacinth or...
Hyacinth.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she's great. She played after me.
She's good.
He asked me, Brian, the other day, or the other week, he's like, I know it's last minute, but do you want a headline Flammable? And it was in like 2 days, and I was out of town. I'm like, no. But yeah, that would be super fun. And they have newer equipment now.
They do. I was just there seeing my buddy Terry.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's CDJ 3000.
I know. I couldn't believe
Fantastic.
I felt like they kind of liked to have the old school stuff. But yeah.
Oh, I didn't ask you. So the Sloane Motion, like, where did that come from?
That was a nickname from a dance team back
Was
in the
it
day.
really?
Yeah, my
Okay.
like hip hop teacher gave me that nickname, and then we all put it on like our sweatshirts and stuff. So kind of just stuck. And then my friend's like, you should make that your Instagram name. And then when I played at Gasworks, they're like, oh, well, just make that your DJ name. So
Yeah.
either that or it could have been Mono Sloane, I guess.
I love the Mono Sloane too. Like,
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know if we were on camera yet, but that was good.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at yourself, then
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
What I'm hearing here is you're still taking gigs. Like, I know you played High Dive, but then you played Portland, and I would imagine there's probably some opportunities in Vancouver for you as well.
Yeah, true. I do want to expand up there.
There's some good spots up there.
And some people say if you're trying to be more of an artist, that you should be like pickier with what gigs you say yes to. And they're like, it's not a good look if you're playing, you know, all these local bar gigs all the time. And I'm like, well, why not? Like, you're still getting practice, you're still getting exposure, you're still learning. It's like the same as having a regular other job. That's your job. You know what I mean? And it's preparing you more.
Who are these fuckers telling you this? You don't have to name
think
names.
they get in their heads about the image, and they're like, you don't want to ruin your image. You're like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, you should only play the big ones. But I'm like, that's not really how it works. You kind of just have to put in the time. And I don't know, at least for me, I'd just rather say yes to most things than to not.
And by the way, if you really enjoy it, who gives a fuck?
Exactly. And I'm like, I'm just grateful that I can even get paid to do what I love. So why wouldn't I say yes?
Yeah.
Like Friday even, I didn't even know where I was going.
Oh, really?
And I was like, okay.
Where was Friday?
I'm going alone to this new club in Pioneer Square. We'll see what it is.
But you had a good time?
It was great. Like, it was, it used to be called Stage or Volume.
Okay.
And it's an underground, not the underground, but like a different one. And I've never been in there, and it was huge, and they had great LED lights, and it was a pretty
like the
big
old
crowd.
Catwalk or Heaven Space or something? Or you don't know? I'll find out.
I don't know. But now it's called Ohm, and
Okay.
they said they haven't done electronic shows there in 10 years, but that like Deadmau5 and Skrillex played there or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
And so this is the third electronic show that they've done, and that people are like catching on and rumors spreading, and it was like really fun.
Yeah.
So another reason to just say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like give it away for free, but if you have opportunities to play and you love to play, like, you know,
I mean,
it doesn't seem like it's hurting your brand.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I don't play for free anymore. I'm like, I just feel like if you say yes one time, then word spreads, and then, you know, but if they pay the normal rate, and I don't know if it has potential, I feel like what's the worst case scenario? If you have no plans already, might as well.
Right. If you're not giving up another book, I don't know. I think people, it's just, I don't know what it is. If it's like a social media phenomenon, or everybody gets in their own head, and at the end of the day, like you're playing music to a crowd to have a good time, and it's like pretty fucking fun.
And you never know who will be there. Like sometimes I've made just crazy connections from being somewhere that I, like even Friday, I didn't expect anything. And I met so many cool people and like got a lot of followers. Not that that really matters, but you just never know, and why not? Yeah. I love it. So I don't like to put myself in a box. I like to just try new things and places, and
yeah, it seems like you're in not knowing you. Like this is what's fun for me, is just getting to know you. But you seem pretty open, and you seem pretty humble about the whole thing, and like enjoying it. That's like, I think when people stop enjoying it and start that's, and maybe there'll be a crossroads for you at some point, but it doesn't seem like you're close to that right now. Seems like you're having a pretty
when
good
you
time.
care about how it looks or something. Like, I don't know. But my motto, one of my mottos is say yes to life.
Yep.
Obviously, you can't take that too far. Or you might end up like dead in a ditch somewhere or something. Just kidding.
Right.
But, in moderation, say yes to most things.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
That's what I try to do.
Well, so hobbies outside of, you said, do you still dance? You still do that? You do the shuffle thing, right? Or do you
So that was one of my like COVID hobbies, that like kept me very busy, and I loved it. And I still, when in doubt, dance it out. If I'm like nervous or something, I like to shuffle. And I taught a shuffle class here once last summer. And I was very humbled. I was like, wow, I am very out of shuffle shape. And I literally threw up after. I was like, I have never been so exhausted in my life. So I think that kind of scarred me. And I honestly didn't really actively shuffle after that for like a year. I don't know why.
Did you shelve the shuffle? A little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, Dad, is this normal? I'm still feeling nauseous and it's midnight. Like, help. But I think that's another goal for 2025 is to get back into that
shuffle shape.
Yeah. So we'll see.
In fairness, like, again, me, and this had nothing to do with you, but I remember when like the shuffle thing came kind of back around, I started seeing it in my social media thing. Like, are they just doing different versions of the Running Man? Because that's what it seems like.
Basically, that kind of is what it is.
But then when you watch, and you're like watching the rhythm, and you're watching the athleticism that it kind of takes, and the endurance, like you said, like it's a puke maker, I think, if you go for... You know.
It's like basically running in place. And with the faster BPMs, like sprinting in place. And then if you're teaching, you're yelling at the same time. So you're basically trying to, explain what to do. And it was in a yoga studio, and they had just had a hot yoga class before
Jesus
that.
Christ.
And they're like, oh, it won't be hot, but it was so hot, and it was in the summer, and I was literally dying. It was so humbling. I'm like, damn, I don't know how they do it. But if I actually trained, I'd have to get in shape for my own class.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. It's I have a new respect now that I've like sort of, I will reserve or I will be judgy at first, and then I'll change my mind. As you can tell, like I'll admit I was wrong. But yeah, shuffling, there's definitely some merit and some athleticism to shuffling.
Yeah. It was probably the hardest workout like I've ever done.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so going forward, are there artists, whether you're talking about playing alongside, I know we talked a little bit about maybe tagging in with like another big name or something. Are there artists on your list, both maybe to collab for DJing or to actually collab in the studio? Like, you seem like the type who might have like a sort of an Oprah level dream board somewhere, if it's in your head or on your wall or whatever. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I'll like write lists.
Of course,
just
I can tell.
When it comes to me, I'm like, who do I want to open for? Where do I want to play? What do I want to do? And I'll just write it in that moment, and then I forget about it. And then a year later, I'll like just have the urge to randomly, like I'll run out of, I can't find a pen or something, and I'm like, well, guess I can't journal. I'll just open to a random page, and then it's like on that list, and I'm like, oh wow, that actually happened. I totally forgot writing that. So I'm like, okay, I might as well keep doing that. So I did write out a list of who I want to open for 2025. One of them so far has checked off. Max Styler. I'm excited for that.
When's
Showbox.
that? Okay.
Yeah, March. So that's one of my favorites. So that'll be fun. And then for collabs, just more local people. DJ Amp, we played at Gasworks together back in the day. So we like started DJing together at the same time, and we just like made a song a few weeks ago. We had never like collabed with Ableton before.
Gotcha.
And so we had zero plan, and we kind of met up and were like, okay, like now what? But then it just kind of happened, and in like 2-3 hours we finished a song, and we had like zero plan. And for vocals, I kept saying the whole time we were making it, I was like, all right. And then we're like, oh, maybe we should use that for the vocals. Like, let's take Matthew McConaughey from
oh shit,
you know, Dazed and
all
Confused.
right. Yep.
Yeah, so we sampled that, and then we took the other like line he said about like, you got to keep living, man, or whatever. And so then we used that, and it fit perfectly with the song.
Nice.
So yeah, maybe we'll do more collabs because that was like pretty seamless. And then my friend Samurai Dow, we do a bunch of shows together. He's a good producer. He's played at like Cap Hill Block Party on main stage and stuff, and he hit me up at Gasworks in Coven, was like, hey, I miss playing live, like, could I play with you guys? And so I want to collab with him. And then this guy Ishmael, who I'm playing with on Friday, we want to collab too. So there's like lots of people. We're lucky in Seattle. There's so many opportunities of talented artists to collab with.
Producer talent, and people are open to. That's the
Very
cool
open.
thing, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, people are, sometimes you don't even need to ask. It just happens, right?
Exactly.
Like,
So
John Lee lives down the street, and he's like, come over, make a track. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? You don't want me trying to,
nice.
know? Yeah. So there's just some great talent.
that would be a good one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's so nice. I was gonna go to Costa Rica for that festival that he's playing because it's my birthday weekend.
Yeah, I think he left, or he's leaving soon. That looks like I watch a video of that, and it just gets bigger every year. It's crazy.
I probably should have gone, but now I have 2 gigs already that weekend, so I won't make it. But he was super nice.
I'm gonna go at a minimum as his entourage sometime. Yeah, and I'd love to do some video of it down there because it just looks unbelievable.
I think next year I definitely want to go.
Next year might be the year for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
put a crew
there.
together.
Yeah.
Like give the John Lee entourage, the Seattle entourage.
Take over.
Totally.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah, that should be really fun.
I think they switched locations, so it's not where it used to be.
Yeah, I think it was in the jungle, and now it's kind of closer to a city. But that will probably be better for...
By the airport, he said.
Yeah, because less of a drive.
Yeah, so that can be pros and cons, I'm sure.
No, I think it's going to be... It's just... It seems like it's just going to keep getting better, honestly, from what I've heard about it, so...
Yeah, I definitely want to go.
Yeah.
So, maybe next year.
So you're a big traveler too. I love the idea of, like you said, killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Traveling, but also getting paid to play. Like, that's kind of the, like I said, I'd love to have the opportunity for like a summer or a couple summers.
Right.
As long as I could,
dip your toe in it.
Dip my toe in it. I don't know if that's a possibility. We'll see.
Yeah.
Someday, right?
Yeah. Totally. Just do a collab with John Lee and... You never know.
maybe we'll make it. Yeah, maybe we'll make a burner.
Yeah.
No, you want to see a guy run through Ableton like a robot.
I bet
he's amazing. Like,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You guys have been in the scene for so long, and like, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm such a newbie. Honestly, I respect you guys a lot for all the flammables that you have under your belts and everything. Like, I don't know.
No, he's
awesome.
the real deal. He's still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very cool. There's some, but like you said, there's just multi-generations now of artistic talent in Seattle, and it just keeps getting better and richer. And I was actually going to ask you about that. Like, you've been in the Seattle scene now. I mean, we say 2018, but you've been playing out. Like, is there things you'd like to see change, or there's things you'd like to see better, or does it feel like it's evolving pretty well for you? Or just in general, I guess.
That's a good question. I have been pretty happy with just being in Seattle, like, versus LA. When I can think about the comparison, there's, more of a community here, and so I'm grateful for that. And everybody's been super helpful and just kind. And in LA, I can't help but think if I had started playing there, it would have been like a lot more competitive and just so different. So I think we do have something special here in that sense. Maybe I've just been lucky with who I've been meeting when I've been meeting them or something, but I have been impressed for those reasons. And, I had a great time in San Diego, and I would have considered, maybe I'd move there sometime.
San Diego's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's like somewhere I could see myself living, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to like start over and have to meet all the new people when everybody here is just so well connected, and it feels like the perfect place to be to at least start and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. No, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm going to ask you a question, and you do not have to answer this question if you want to be political. Out of all, going back to the festival stuff, out of all these, or just these big names, is there anyone who is just a nightmare to work with?
Honestly, I don't know.
They're all pretty good?
I will say, as grateful as I am for the Gorge opportunity, I do think they could have put a logo up on the screens. Oh, because they have all these huge screens, and they were completely black.
Oh, they didn't put your name up.
No, nothing. And I'm like trying to be professional with the rider, even having ChatGPT help me. I'm like, I have to do everything right. Like, this is what I require. And then they're like, no, like just kind of shut it all down. I'm like, okay, at least I tried. But I didn't really take it personally, because even when I went for the Odessa shows, they had big name openers, and like even for Ben Bomer and like all those guys, it was literally all black screens. They had their logo, but it looked like a PowerPoint slide. Like just tiny, That
seems like a weird miss.
And right? People are there, and they have such an opportunity to give people visuals, and even at a random bar, like they'll put your logo and like cool visuals. So why not take advantage of what they have there? So that was my complaint, I guess. And they wouldn't let me do a sound check either before, and I'm like, well, don't you guys want to make sure that my music will work? Like, I thought we should be on the same team. So I kind of had to be my own advocate and like literally go up there and be like, I'm gonna check my music right now. But yeah, so I get how having a manager could help with some things.
To facilitate some of those shitty conversations.
Yeah, right? But obviously, like, as an opener, you kind of like, it's like initiation phase, so I can't, like, beggars can't be choosers.
But honestly, like, who would have thought your logo wouldn't be up when you were playing a set at the fucking Gorge, right?
Yeah,
like,
and they were like, okay, no, but it'll be iMag screen, and so I thought, okay, I guess at least there'll be something up there, like I'll be on the screens, but then they didn't do that. It was just like completely black. So
there's you on a massive stage with a massive sound system, but
and nothing. And while I started playing, they came up to start doing sound, like to fix something, and I asked what was wrong, because I'm just trying to, do my thing. And they were like, oh, it's the PA system's just weird. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, is it too loud, too quiet? They're like, no, it's not you, it's just weird. And I'm like, okay, like trying to smile and just act normal. But then I had to ask my friend, like, is the volume okay? Like,
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of confused. And I even said in my writer, PA system has to be figured out before I start.
Like, don't come on stage when I'm in the middle. Yeah.
So clearly, they don't really take the openers as seriously, which is understandable, and like,
sure,
I get it. So yeah, but that was just like the only negative thing I can say out of like the best experience of my life. So still grateful.
Totally.
And it didn't matter. Like, I still had a great time.
So you've only played the Gorge once so far.
Yeah.
But that's still pretty massive. That's giant. And I do like how you skated around, not talking shit about any one person, which is good. That's very noted.
Honestly, I've had like all good experiences, to be honest. I haven't really had anything that stands out.
Well, you kind of get what you bring, right, when it comes to it. I mean, every once in a while, right? I've had a DJ accuse me of stealing his headphones, and I'm not going to mention anything. That was like the last weird thing. And it was very small, but it was still super annoying because it was right in the middle of my set when he was asking if the headphones I was wearing were his headphones or my headphones. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, they're my headphones.
Right. Getting accused for something you didn't do. It's the worst.
It was small. It was super
I
fun.
probably shouldn't say anything negative about the Gorge, because it's the best venue ever.
It is a gorgeous
No pun intended.
Seriously, like that is like, that's like dream level. It's like unbelievable. I mean, maybe Red Rocks, like something, but the Gorge is world class.
Yeah. So, I mean, respect. Yeah. I think they have so many screens. They should just put something on. Do something with them.
And don't mess with the sound when you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to cut you loose on the decks. And so, but before, do you have anything coming up? I know you mentioned a couple shows coming up. Any shout outs, and if it's too much, you don't feel like you have to say anything, but just want to give you one more opportunity.
I'm just playing more like local gigs for the next couple weeks. There's this new venue in Fremont called Jackie Love's Body Shop. So playing there on Friday, and then gonna play my first caravan at Cherry at Crumwork, which is like from music all around the world. I've never played that before, so that's
a cool party.
Yeah, the second they asked me, I was like, ooh, like what would I play for that? And I just immediately made a playlist. I'm like going through it, like my collection. So that'll be cool to play, and then playing a soft option at Monkey. I don't know, just kind of. Just saying yes to things while I'm here. Gonna go to San Diego soon to Cross to hang out with some people that I wanted to connect with and see what happens there. And the Showbox one is probably the bigger one that's coming up.
And when is that again?
March 22nd.
March 22nd.
Yeah.
And that's Showbox Market or
Market.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's my favorite.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I'm so glad it didn't close.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my favorite parties were at Showbox, and then back when you were just a baby, I think. But that place is so good.
Kind of funny. The first time I actually did a hip hop performance at Showbox Soto back in like middle school. Like I was in 6th grade.
Really?
And it was this like break dancing. I don't even know what the show was, but it was like packed in there. And our hip hop team of like 6 of us went on that stage, so it was just funny. Like, I don't know. That's like I've been going there my whole life too.
That's fair.
So it's just funny being back there in a different way.
My one Showbox claim to fame, Showbox Market is. I was in a band that I met on Craigslist, and she, the lead singer, this really talented volleyball player, actually, I don't know what she's up to now, but she was also a singer, and she just had this presence, right? And we opened up for Sir Mix-a-Lot's, his heavy metal project.
What?
It was so weird, but it was so fun.
Wow,
it was awesome. And it was so loud, it was amazing. Yeah.
That's so cool. Honestly, whenever I do karaoke, Baby Got Back is my go-to because
so you should hear the metal version of that. It's crazy.
I can't even imagine what that would be like. That is so funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty weird.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was a really fun night.
I'm curious to hear more about your guys' journey too.
At some point, maybe. We'll see. Let's get you on the decks. It's been awesome, and I'm so glad we got to finally connect and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah,
you're a bit mysterious because I think you play low key, you play humble, right? And
I have no filter.
No, it's good.
I'm glad to hear that. Being mysterious. It sounds cooler.
Yeah, run with it. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and
thank you for having me.
Look forward to hearing your set. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Me too.
Take care.
Seattle House Mafia.